Hi, I'm Chris O'Connor from ZeroLight, and I'm here with Marcus Kuehne from Audi. So we're going to give a good overview of how we created the Audi VR experience. So firstly, I'll let Marcus go over the design challenges and why Audi decided to go along this route of VR. And then we'll go into some more technical details as to why we chose the right balance that we did. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A for all you guys to ask questions.
Okay.
So I'll let Marcus take.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I guess some things I already mentioned in the keynote. So we have today the challenge at, I guess, as all car manufacturers, that the customers don't spend much time anymore at the dealership. They only come to talk about the price, and that's it. And that's not in our interest. We want to have a close connection between the customer and the dealer. There should be a trust between them. They should get a really good guidance if they make their decisions about the car. And so we are looking for opportunities to enrich the sales experience at the dealership. As mentioned, we developed a couple of different sales tools in the past, most screen-based, almost screen-based. And although the visual quality was quite high, we had always the same problem. From the dimension and so on, the car doesn't look real. And so VR was the perfect match for us. 4 years ago, I met Brandon Ariba at the CS of Oculus. It was a really small, 10 people startup, I guess, at this time. And I tried Palmer's prototype and was really excited about it. And this was the beginning. So I invited those guys to Ingolstadt, and we convinced our management that we should invest here and started this project together, because there's a lot of potential. You can see cars one-to-one in VR. And that's a problem for us, because we have millions of different potential possible combinations, which we're not able to show in a realistic way, of course. And maybe there's also a particular difference between the US market and Europe. Just to let you know, in Europe, the customers configure the car from zero. The cars are naked. It's not like here in the United States. And then they put in each detail they want as they want it, and then they get really their individualized car 5 to 6 months later, mostly, if it's a good car and we have some demand. So that's the reason why we said we want to use VR, show cars as realistic as possible. As I also mentioned before, we have already the data of all cars. Audi has more than 50 different models already, including the derivatives, and hundreds of options. And of course, the data are there from the construction, but they are really complex. They have 50 up to 7 million polycounts, each of them. And so we started then already with ZeroLight together to develop, and IBM, to develop a process to reduce those data, but I guess you will talk something about it or something, so I don't want to go into detail right here. So I'm staying in the main story. However, finally we achieved that. People are really happy right now. We have 5 first dealerships equipped in Germany with this stuff, and the feedback is really awesome and promising. And we will enroll hundreds of those setups to our dealerships worldwide, and we hope that we enrich the sales experience. The last thing I want to add before we come to the technical details, I also mentioned before a little bit, but I guess this is very important because this is kind of unique. Of course, it's great that we are using VR, from our opinion at least, or in our opinion at least, we are using VR to visualize our products and fascinate people. But we have also enriched the whole experience, or the whole application with experiences, why we know it and call it experience finally, which make it to a special moment. So we have a couple of different surroundings, Southern France, Iceland, city, the moon, and so on. We have some great brand experiences, like Le Mans, some more will follow. And as a dealer, you are able to fit the experience exactly to your customer. And that's the special thing. You get your unique VR experience at the dealership in the future. If you configure your car there, your dealer has a couple of opportunities he can choose and can fit it to your belongings, to your interests and needs. And this is something new. No digital sales tools in the world is able to create that or to generate that. And combined with VR, we believe that this gives people a reason to come back to the dealership and to spend time there. And this inspires people. This is what we already know from our 5 dealerships in Germany. Many customers leave the dealership and the last things they say, wow, this was inspiring. I have to use that for myself. I have to start thinking about the usage of VR. And that's exactly what they want. In best case, they will not forget where they had this first experience and connect that with Audi in the future. So that's a little bit about the main, the frame conditions. There will come lots of things in the future. Maybe next time I can talk a little bit more about the technology. Thanks.
So like Mark has mentioned, he chose ZeroLight to push forward their dream of a VR experience for car buying, as well as that emotional connection to that vehicle. So what we wanted to do was create a visual, compelling experience. It's important to meet the graphical quality, the seamless experience, and customization at a massive scale. There's hundreds of different customizations in these cars, as well as hundreds of different models. So let's start with graphical quality. As you've seen, the poly count on these cars are pretty ridiculous. There's every stitch is modeled, every bit of detail. So finding the right number of polygons for commercial VR is often that thing that we're asked at ZeroLight. 100,000, it'll run on any device, but 100,000 looks like this. There's an okay amount of detail, but not as much as you need to actually sell a car.
Remember in VR, sorry for interrupt, in VR the special thing is you can go very close to any detail. And that's different to a screen visualization. You do it already. Why the poly count is that important? Sorry.
It's okay. That's what I was going to say.
Really?
No, so 100 million polys. We can render 100 million polys on the high-end GPUs we have now, but you then are obviously losing a lot of your GPU power you would ideally use for other details. So this is what 100 million polys look like, and it's crazy. Like, you can't even see the detail. You can't even see the wireframe there. So, go on.
May I say something? Sorry. Just, I guess it's interesting for the context for the audience. If we would have a data model with 100 million poly counts, we would need a cluster or something, as you said. And that's not affordable for a dealer. We need a system which is affordable on a normal PC, which is also not too expensive for a dealer.
Yep. So the magic number was 5 million. This is what 5 million looks like. It's still a bit crazy, but it's important that we get that correct balance against polygons, pixel quality, and customization. These are all important for a commercial VR simulation. So the key to this is more polygons doesn't necessarily mean better graphics. As you see here, every stitch, every little piece is still modeled. It's enough for the customer to get a good feeling of what their car that they're going to buy will look like. So where we use the rest of the GPU resource is on pixel quality. We need to create these lifelike materials because what Audi want to sell is the higher quality levers, the higher quality interior. We spend it on anti-aliasing. It needs to be as natural as possible. When the user is looking around, they don't want flickering pixels on and off. And the lighting and shadows, so it needs to sit in an environment that really makes you feel like this is a place you could go to. And of course, gamers are used to seeing artifacts, seeing problems, but for Audi, we could not deliver shadow aliasing, shadow problems. It had to be completely seamless to the real world. So as you see here, this is a close-up shot of the wing mirror, and as you can see each individual flake in the metallic paint. And this is important because without that detail, who's going to buy the metallic paint? The user needs to see that fine detail. And here again, the stitches in the seat. So finding this right balance was what we needed to do in order to get the customization, the selling of these models to the user.
Maybe to add here, this visual quality we're seeing on the screen, of course, you don't have one-to-one in the current headset generation. These fine details on the screen, you see them already, and a part of the Audi VR experience is already a very good screen presentation, in meaning of there is a screen as a part of the setup. You can see all the stuff also on the screen. It is high quality, of course. Only in VR mode we're reducing the resolution. By the way,
that leads on to pixel density,
okay.
which is
Awesome.
exactly what Marcus is talking about, that we need these like crazy number of pixels to draw. So 1080p, 2 million pixels, 4K, 8 million pixels. VR is 2.5 million pixels currently. But what we're pushing for is that 8K, that 33 million pixels, which is what seems a crazy number. And of course, on top of that, we have the anti-aliasing to add those multiples of crazy number of pixels. But the fine detail you see, the perfect quality, it's all worth it, and that's what we need to deliver to the customer. When they're looking at their car, it needs to look as real as possible. And of course, it needs to be a seamless experience. And this is the most painful bit for the development team at ZeroLight. We are constantly looking at frame rate, getting it smooth, and if you experience our VR demo down in the expo hall, you'll see that it maintains that high frame rate, it maintains that constant, stable, low latency, and that's what the general public require to have a seamless, smooth experience. Low latency. So customization at scale. So for Audi, we have to deliver every single configuration, every single car, and there's literally millions of configurations you can possibly have. And this is just a small selection. So yeah, incredible number of valid configurations per car. There's no limit to the number we can support. We have a dynamic loading system, and it's powered by the rules engine at Audi. So this is the same system that powers all Audi's sales infrastructure, also powers the VR and the point-of-sale systems. But of course, from a development side, this makes QA very difficult because we've got so many models. How can we possibly test every configuration? But that is a whole nother talk, and we don't have much time, so I won't cover that now. So yeah, obviously with more configurations, more draw calls, more problems with profiling, getting it fast, material switching, it's all very difficult, and geometry switching, but we need to provide this amount of switching to maximize commercial potential. If we only showed a certain number of alloys or a certain number of paints, you may miss out on a customer who wants a certain paint color, a certain alloy, a certain interior trim. So we have to support every single configuration. And for Audi, we provide the ZeroLight omnichannel where it's not just VR, we create 1080p, 4K and 8K point of sale systems, web configurators, VR and AR solutions. And here's a beautiful picture of a close-up of a configured Audi, and you'll get the same quality across the whole range of the omnichannel. So whether that's 4K, the mobile device, or on the web. So the new technology coming up, obviously AR, it's very difficult with the positional tracking, but luckily you have no environment, so you have a little more GPU time left. It's a little harder to match reality, but we're always pushing for that best quality, and this is it's sort of an experience where you are excluded away from your family, so you can share that experience, and it's definitely definitely going to be the future once the hardware catches up with what we're trying to do. And 4K VR, as I mentioned before, it's a crazy number of pixels. And what we're showing today at Vision Summit down at the Audi and ZeroLight booth is the volumetric video environments. So this is video composited in real time with 3D. And here's a little teaser. Really, you need to come down to the booth and try it.
You should. That's really good.
So, and how did we create this new experience? So we take video data, We take depth data captured from the scene. Some of the rigs we've got gaffer taped together on shaky rigs, but it's capturing all that data, making that system streamline to then be able to produce these environments to have that emotional connection with the person buying the car. So we process this data for the optimal for VR experience. There's bandwidth limitations and there's resolution problems, but as we develop this technology, it will get more and more impressive. So this is a fully 3D dynamic environment. It's not just a video on a sphere. There's depth data. You can walk around the scene, and the car is composited in CG in that scene. And it's not just any car. It's the car you've customized. So it takes immersion to the next level. And like I say, come and try it out.
Yeah, here I want to add, I know maybe a tenth of you has tried it today. You should do that. That's really the next level. I saw a lot, and I'm a really demanding customer. You can believe that. Ask him. And they surprised me with the quality. I didn't expect it that they achieved in such a short time such a high quality in the surrounding. Of course, the beach is the perfect perfect surrounding for a looped environment. But however, it really feels so natural, and the car wins so much by being in such an finally filmed, recorded surrounding. That's really amazing. So, of course, I would love if everything in VR is looking like this scene, but it gives a good feeling what will be possible or normal, hopefully, in 2 to 3 years at all high-end applications.
Yeah, and our plan for the future is to develop more of these environments to create better immersion for the user. Like typically the environments we use now will be static photosphere sort of environments, and taking that to the next level really helps immerse the customer. And the plan in the not so distant future would hopefully be you capture some video outside your home, and then you can see your car outside your home as though it was really there. And I think that's where AR also comes in to make that experience even more personal. So quickly ran through all that. I thought it was going to take much longer. So we've got time for questions. So I imagine there may be a few. So if anyone's got any questions about the development,
feel free.
Oh, yeah, there's just a microphone here.
Oh, sorry. But the room is small, you can maybe also.
Yeah.
So you have 3 different capture technologies, is what I'm understanding. You have a live action capture, you have a photogrammetry capture, and then a CG capture for the car?
Yeah, so in this scene, the CG is all real time. We've developed that from CAD data, process the materials, so the materials all captured through photogrammetry, applied to that car. It's used for the offline rendering. So we take that data and process it through to get it ready for real time.
Right.
And then we capture the environments with 360 camera, LiDAR rigs, and we take all that data together and produce this environment. So if you look on the car, you will see the waves splashing against the beach in the reflections of the car, so it all seamlessly integrates together.
Right. And did you work with any sort of vector files or anything from the manufacturer on the actual car? Was that all just
Yeah, so the data that creates the car is the original CAD data.
Right.
So that's built up. It's used in many places internally in Audi, and we take that data and we run it through a process at ZeroLight to get it ready for these demanding devices, because, like I say, on VR, we've only got 10 milliseconds to render the car twice.
Yeah, because we update our cars also 2 times a year. That's the reason why we need such a pipeline, which will make that more or less automatically done and not too expensive.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
you guys kind of know me a little bit, but I'm just curious. You were talking about the future. Like, obviously, what you've done here is impressive stuff, certainly visually, and I like the little bit about it being linked back into the Audi system. I didn't actually know that, so that's pretty cool. So at Airbus, we're creating scenarios that kind of give the user an in-context experience of what the product is. So I'm just wondering, is that part of the next level from a VR perspective? Because I know if I buy a car, it's really exciting to go into the showroom. It's really exciting to see that final product in front of me in the configuration that I wanted it. Great, but it's not as good as driving.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but I'm wondering, like, you know, everyone, I know Audi have got driving simulators. I know you have, but like in the statute of the sales space, the showroom, what about integrating real world elements in terms of aligning? Because what you've essentially got there is a very static system where you know where the car is relative to the space around it.
Okay.
Is that something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I try to answer as focused as possible. So, of course, we discussed that only because there are 3 persons behind you.
We can talk about it after for a beer. Yeah.
With all people here can talk with me after. Of course, I'm looking forward to this. But in general, we had this discussion. We have very often the question, what's about more dynamically presentation? Okay, but we could let the car drive among you or through a scenery. That's possible. But we have to avoid sickness. That's important. That's also one reason why we don't develop a driving experience or something, self-driving experience, without a very expensive seat, which is too expensive in a good quality for dealers. It wouldn't be possible to make that in a realistic way. And we don't want to replace the test drive. In the best case, you have a test drive with a nice car, you smell it, you feel it, and so on, and afterwards you configure your personal one in VR. I guess in long term it could happen that we have a simulator, but that's not our main focus. Focus for now would be to explain more the additional functional value of options. This makes more sense in context with the main configurator. Now we show the visual highlights. In the future also we explain how special systems as the Quattro or also some light systems and so on working and so on.
So, okay. Just to add to that, we have the technology to be able to do that, but like Mark has mentioned, that it's about how do you put that into a customer experience.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it's you don't want someone to get in a car, they've just customized an R8 and they drive it into a wall. It's not the sort of experience that you want. It's so as far as the technology, it's there and available, but it's finding the right place for it.
Okay, thank you very much, and I look forward to catching up with you later.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Come.
Hi guys. I haven't done the demo yet, but I'm really impressed with the images you showed. And I'm just wondering if you could talk about some of the optimizations and like different scripts out there that you use to really get that quality in Unity.
So yeah, we build on top of Unity with source licenses, and we customize it for the ultra high end. So we basically ripped out the lighting system, ripped out the shadowing, ripped out the loading system, because that's the nice thing about Unity, it's very modular. So we could take these components and we could change them, and we could make something that looks fantastic just on that ultra high end. We don't care about that old Windows XP machine. We're not targeting gamers at this point. So it's about customizing, getting that best quality. And so we have a whole team at ZeroLight who are dedicated to tweaking, getting 1 millisecond out of every little thing, making it look slightly better, implementing new lighting techniques to get it closer and closer to that offline ray trace look.
Any chance you're going to release any of that?
Yeah, so we've been asked this many times, and it's like the problem is that it requires the custom version of Unity, so it's all built on top of that, and it's probably never going to be available to the general developers.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to switch it up here, but in 2015, Audi made an augmented reality app to display cars that were not available at their dealerships. I don't know if you could tell me anything about that, if you progressed that at all since 2015, or if that's still in Are you working on that at all?
You mean general augmented reality or mixed reality
Yeah,
applications?
there'd be like a big barcode on the floor, and a car would come out, and you could spin it around,
Okay.
click on.
Yeah,
open it up.
they're screen-based right now because of the limitations of the available augmented reality or mixed reality devices. For us, the benefit is not big enough, honestly. So we had in the beginning, 4 years ago, we said we have this amount of money and capacity, and we have to decide which way we want to go. And we said screen-based augmented reality applications, at least for our demand and at the dealership, our main task, my main focus, doesn't bring enough value. For marketing purposes, to show one car, it's a nice gimmick, it's cool, but it doesn't help you really if you want to make a decision to buy a car. That's better to have a VR experience with a real car and a real size feeling and so on. I think mixed reality is the future, also for car sales, as soon as the devices are far enough. Currently, they don't. We need a bigger field of view. The resolution might be okay right now, but there are some other unsolved problems. So how do you create a reflection, an authentic reflection on the surface of the virtual car in augmented reality? It's not that easy as in VR, where you know the surrounding and so on. I have the idea. I also have the patent for that. But it will take 2 to 3 years from now. Just to answer it shortly.
Thanks.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Hi. So you mentioned at the beginning that the motivation for doing this is that you want to get the people back into the car dealership. And I'm assuming that you want to keep doing this in the future. But as we all know, more and more people are going to have these devices at home as well.
Yeah.
Do you imagine that in 2 or
Yeah.
3 years it's going to be the same situation as today?
Good
Because
question.
I as a consumer...
No, it's of course. And of course, we're thinking about exactly that. Currently, those 7 million people with headsets out there, less than 2 million on the level we need for this kind of experience, are not enough to invest so much money to bring in configurator at home right now. This is not a good investment at the moment. Of course, it would help VR, and I love VR. I would love to invest that money to bring it forward, to push it, but we do it now in that way. As soon as we saw today this nice curve in 2020, they expect a high and fast acceleration in the growth of sold headsets. That's the time. At this moment, we should bring it at home as well. And then we have also more security about the performance. Maybe we can make such thing cloud-based or something. This would be my wish, because today we need for this kind of experience on that level a Titan X at least, and very few people have it. What do we with all others? Should we make it downloadable but it doesn't run then or something, or reduce graphic visual quality? Audi is not acceptable for Audi. So we say, yes, we will bring that at home. Maybe we will bring this brand experience earlier. That's realistic, but the configurator will take some time. And if we bring the configurator at home, we need something new at the dealership. And this could be mixed reality, for example. This would be a sensible step. Then people get surprised by mixed reality at the dealership, and at home, if they want to, then they could use virtual reality. That's the plan right now. Don't say it, anyone.
This was actually a good start for my question. I mean, more in terms of IP and protecting your copyrights and your designs. Hosting real-time geometries, I think you're so far quite in protected environments in the dealerships where you have all the geometry. And I think car design is one of the hot subjects. What are the strategies if you actually start looking at real-time geometry hosted on public domain or moving?
You mean to save the IP finally, or to secure?
How do you actually protect your designs, your 3D models in the public domain? What are your strategies thinking about AR and mixed reality in wherever home?
So just to get it correctly, that we give it to broad people to work with that, or what's the main intention?
If you download the geometry in order to have an AR experience in real time,
I think it's quite a difficult situation because as soon as you put that in the public space, someone will be able to hack it, someone will be able to get that data out. Like obviously on Windows, you can easily tweak the D3D DLL and you can get that data out. There's no stopping people. You can't encrypt it because as soon as the GPU uses it, it's there and available. So at ZeroLight, what we do for Audi for configurators on the web is we have a cloud-based system which obviously means it's all hosted in the cloud and it doesn't need to be on the person's PC, but it's going to be a different matter when we come to home use of VR and AR, and that'll be a challenge for the future.
Yeah, I hope we will have a cloud-based solution that we don't have to answer this question. It's a good question, and we have to find an answer because there's a high value to have all of our car models in this high quality, and we want to avoid that everyone have access to it, of course. You're right, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Just a simple question. Is this only available in Europe?
Oh, you mean at the dealership?
Yeah.
So currently we have it at 5 dealerships in Germany. This was the operating pilot, which is still ending right now. And I'm really happy to announce that we start, 99%, the rollout from next month, first in Europe, and hopefully in the second half of the year worldwide. So, and I expect currently that we will equip a couple of hundred dealerships within the next couple of months. It's hard to predict how much effort it will make to implement such a complex system, but we have our own team which will make nothing else than this. And now we have a good product. We have the contracts in which we need with Oculus and so on. And now we want to roll out as soon as possible. There's a high demand from the market. The dealers can't wait to get it. So yeah, Europe hopefully at least in the middle of this year. Rest of the world, most of the countries until the end of this year, the first dealerships. We will sell it, just to let you know, as a part of the customer private lounge. Customer private lounge is a sophisticated lounge surrounding, if you're buying a car, it's a separate room, it's nice glass walls and it looks really nice. And this is a controlled environment with a huge screen on the wall and a PC and then also the HMD where you can have this experience for your own. It's private, not everyone can see that, and VR will be an integrated part of this model which we want to enroll to many dealerships this year.
And sorry for the second question, you do have a web configurator currently or not?
A web configurator?
Yeah. So
a normal one, yes, on as all car brands, of course, a good one, but it's not for VR.
But is it 3D?
It's only available in Audi.de at the moment. So there's the I think it's a pilot that's running on the A4.
I mean with the ZeroLight engine, finally, isn't it? With 3D, with 3D visualization. Yes, as a pilot for Germany, it's available. Hopefully also in the future at other markets, and the rest is a standard configurator as you.
Is that using the same visual fidelity as?
Yep. Exactly the same quality, exactly the same detail. So that's what we look for at ZeroLight is the omni-channel that we create needs to create the same quality across all devices. There's no point us putting out a lower poly car because then the user will go into the showroom, experience it in VR, and then come home and see a rubbish looking car. They need to see the exact same quality as they saw in the showroom because in the end they're buying this car.
Can they see under the hood and the trunk and everything too, or?
So the majority of cars don't have the engines built, but there's no reason why not. If the data's there, you can look everywhere.
I think we haven't not an opportunity in the interface right now to open the trunk and so on. That's only in VR at the dealership with the complex configurator, but theoretically you could. If there's enough demand from the customer, maybe we will change the interface that they are able to do that. Theoretically they could, if they would.
So if you're already offering it on the web, going back to the previous question, the IP is out there. If someone wanted it, they can.
Oh, that's streamed as far as.
Well, it's powered through the cloud, so you just get a stream because we want it to work on all browsers. So you just go to the site, it creates a cloud instance, and you see the visualization there. So nothing's downloaded to the home user's PC.
So is it completely interactive? You can view
it?
Yeah,
fully interactive.
So it's rendered on the server?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. And we're out of time here. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll hopefully see you downstairs.
And feel free to come if you have some additional questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.